Good afternoon and happy Sunday. I know it is several football games going on, but today we have a special Let's Talk About It, and I am super duper excited to have this guest today. We go way back, really far back, but I do appreciate her taking time out of her busy schedule on a Sunday to come on Let's Talk About It with us today. Before I bring her on, I must say, until tomorrow, you have until tomorrow to get your bus ticket to go to the Dallas game on a turnaround bus trip to see the Cotton Bowl. So yeah, please go to Eventbrite. It is under turnaround bus trip, and we hope to see you there. So I think that's our only housekeeping rule. Please like, share, comment, interact with us because we do like to talk to you. Yes, we will put your name on the screen, but you have to allow StreamYard permission to use it. So I am going to bring on my special guest today. She is like so amazing. When I grow up, I want to be like her, like in real life. She is an author, a poet, a mother. She's so many things. But more importantly, today she is my guest on Let's Talk About It. Hey, Miss James, welcome to the show.
Hey, girl. Thank you for having me.
I am excited. I've already, gave you like a big, super introduction. I was like, look, we go way back. She was taking time out her busy day to share her journey to success with me. And I am so honored that you are doing that.
Thank you for having me. I am so nervous. I don't know why, but I think because there's so much at stake in this conversation, and because we do go way back, and the way that we go way back, I feel like it's just I just feel nervous, but it's gonna come together, and the nervousness will go away. And I'm grateful that you have me here.
Yes, because you are like super, you was killing it back in the day. I mean, I know we were backstage talking about it, and I was like, man, my mom loves you. That say a lot.
Yeah.
Low-key jealous because, I'm like sharing my mom with everybody, but she loves you. She was like, oh, you got Penda on there? I might even check that show out this week.
Thank you for sharing. She's been with me since I was little, so.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, not little, but like at least 14.
That's a long time. I'm not telling my age. I'm getting younger. I'm going backwards.
Okay, Mrs. Bottom or whatever the movie was. Benjamin Button.
I'm trying. But no, I know I was a guest a while back on your show, Inscribed. I think that was the name of it.
It's called The Resilience Project.
That's what it was. I'm sorry. Tried to make it not my heart, but I was going off your email. But I was able to be very transparent, and I do want to say thank you for allowing that platform that day, because not too many people know my backstory. They just know the now. And I was like, oh my God. I said, did I say that? I was even in tears. And you just spoke so much life to a situation that I have been dealing with for 20 years. And I really appreciate that. So, and I'm grateful. So anything you need, you can have.
The purpose of the Resilience Project, because I know that's one of the questions that you want to ask me is like, how did I get to a level of success? Or, I honestly don't say that I'm successful yet. There are a lot of things that I still want to accomplish in my life that I didn't have the opportunity to do. I want to get my PhD, and I want to, I don't have a best-selling book, and none of my clients are bestsellers. And, so I put all this pressure on myself to be an image that I thought I was supposed to be. And I had to learn to be present in the moment and be what I am in the moment. And the Resilience Project helps me with that. And the topic that we talked about was the power of restoration, I believe. And every topic, every conversation that I have with somebody in the Resilience Project, it like brings pieces of me back home. I think it's there's a book, and I think it's Nikki Giovanni, and she says, my friends, they bring, my sister friend, she brings pieces of me back home. And that's literally how I feel when I'm having these conversations, like our conversation tonight, our conversation on the Resilience Project, that I didn't think about all the places that I didn't feel good enough, or that I didn't feel like I was worthy, or I was fulfilling my dreams and my goals. And when I sit and talk to people and I see what they're doing, and like you giving me all these accolades, I'm like, stop, like, stop talking about me. I'm just me. I'm just doing what I do just because I want to serve God. But thank you for this conversation. Okay, so what else you want to talk about? Come back on the camera. I'm not gonna let you stay.
Not gonna stay in the background. I promise I
will
will.
let you stay in the background.
But no, that I didn't know that that's how you came about the Resilience Project. And yes, it was restoration, which I'm still dealing with it. And like I said, I will give you accolades because that was a very thoughtful. I watched all episodes, and I was like, how did she handpick this? How did she do this? And I was like, well, knowing Penda, she probably just prayed about it. And
I prayed about it. My goal is to get to 100 declarations for leaders. And I think, like, really the truth, Mo, is that I am married to a senior pastor. And so we've been here in this position for like almost 6 years. And for almost 6 years, I've been silent. I don't know if you watched the interview with the princess and her husband. I can't, the princess, Megan, Princess Megan, right? And she talked about, like, they silenced me.
Oh, wow.
And Oprah asked her, like, did they silence you or did you silence yourself? And it's a combination of both. So you get into these leadership positions where you know that you're called to be in a particular space and to do a certain thing. And because you don't look like or act like or think like or dance like or whatever the like is, the group that's already there, they treat you differently because they don't believe that you belong, but God sent you there. And so it took a long time, almost 5 years, because I've been doing the Resilience Project for about 1.5 years, to get to the place where I was like, no matter what y'all say, if you want me here or not, this is where God has sent me.
Oh my God, you done said a mouthful right there.
So I would say for me, that's one of my greatest successes, and one of my hardest fights was coming back to me. Like really coming back to who God said that Penda is. And I'm like, we went to Wilberforce, and there's so many of my classmates who are like doing all these wonderful things. And I'm like, like, I don't even want to go into the room with them because where they are, I'm not where they are. But it takes for me to stand in the truth and the authority of who God called me to be. And I may not be the one that's sitting on those stages or, teaching at the university, but I am pushing the people who are, if that makes sense. And I'm just as important as the one who's out front.
Always. And that statement said a lot. I mean, because your words always encourage everybody. I mean, you don't even know how much you encourage me. And you are just as good, and you deserve a seat at the table as well. That's why I'm like, what? She really feels this way?
I know. This is not new. Like, this is how I felt like I think all my life. Like, we talked a little bit off the camera about how I'm the oldest. I'm the oldest of 4. And I'm 7, 8, and 17 years older than my siblings. So it's kind of like I was an only child. I'm still kind of like an only child, even though they are my siblings. But the age gap, like, we're going and experiencing seasons of our life at different times. So in every season, I've kind of been like by myself. And I learned later that a prophet is like that. Now, I'm not, like the calling of a prophetic person is that they have to be by themselves because they have to really spend time with God. I can't pour out if I'm not really hearing from God. And I'm careful about, like you were talking about, that 4-part series. It was the Ubuntu conversations. I am because we are because I am. That came because I was so emotional about the young lady who had gotten killed in Columbus, and I can't remember her name right now, and I don't really want to call it to bring up the sad feelings for the family, but basically I worked in child welfare for about 9 years, and as a caseworker, I was out in the field, going to houses and making sure that children were okay and things like that. And to hear that a foster mother called her village to come and discipline this baby, and then she got killed as a result of that. I felt like there were conversations that needed to be had among Black women that we weren't having. Are we taking care of ourselves? Do we put our village in place of ourselves to handle things? I know there are times like, my baby's 14 and I'll be calling all her aunties like, you need to talk to her because I don't know what to say, or she's not hearing from me, but she might hear it from you. So I get that as a mother, but the baby died. It really pressed on my heart for a long time. So it took me back to Wilberforce, and it took me back to being in rites of passage and building relationships with my sisters, having really, really hard conversations around, the healing circle. And that's what I wanted to do. And God told me that you had to be one of them. I didn't know that we were going to talk about some of the things that we talked about in that conversation. In one session, all of the women had illnesses. Like one had lupus, one had MS, one had Crohn's disease. And I was just like, oh my God, all of them were divorcees. All of them were moms. And I was like, God did this. I didn't do it. I didn't do it.
But you have always been a visionary, and you're like, oh God, she gonna go way back with this one. You've always been a visionary, even to the point of, I remember, I think it was my freshman year at Wilberforce, you did a play.
I did.
And I was like, I said, she's always been this, I want to help, I want to this, and you're doing it. I know you don't see it, but even things that you've done back then helped me.
I'm grateful for that you say that, because I think they always say that when someone does something for you and you go back and tell them how much it helped you, it helps to confirm that their purpose matters, basically. And sometimes I feel like, because I'm so isolated from everybody, like I don't have any friends here. I mean, I'm not saying this like as a, oh, let's play the violin, but it's the status of the life I live right now, where my family is not here. It's just me, my husband, and my daughter.
Oh, wow.
And so when I hear from people and they're like, girl, back in 1991, I'm just like, I don't even remember that. And I actually heard Wyclef Jean say this. I was listening to some old Breakfast Club interviews, because when I'm working, I listen to like a lot of documentaries and podcasts and stuff like that. And Wyclef Jean said that I think it's Young Thug or somebody he did a song with, studied him so much. Wow. And he studied everything that he did. He studied how he was with his daughter. He had tattoos with Haiti on them. Man, I wish I was from Haiti too. Like he said, it'll get to the point where someone will remind you about things that you've already forgotten. That's the kind of life I want to live. Like, I just want to do stuff and just be like, I don't even remember that. What? Praise God. Praise God.
Well, you are definitely there. Like you, all through my life, different things I've watched you do. I mean, even your mannerisms as an athlete, even your mannerisms as we redeveloped in college. And now watching you, as a professional, I was like, goodness, I got to get on my stuff back in school. She already on my case, Is
I'm
this
on your case because you gonna be Dr. Robinson.
so?
Every opportunity that I have, I'm going to call you Dr. Robinson because
Look,
you did not start not to finish.
that's facts, and I am back. Even though I hate typing the papers, I'm doing it because
You don't have to type it. Just talk into this a dictation thing on your Microsoft Word. Talk it.
oh my God. So yes, I am definitely. You're not the only one that's pushing for that. Trust me. But I just, what is the gap? I mean, and that's something that, what is the gap that's causing women to not want to talk about these sensitive subjects? I know it takes me, I'm private like you. I am, and so a lot of people, when they seen that resilience project, they was like, you spoke about your life? Because I mean, I am, even though I come off as being like really sociable and all, I'm really not. I'm like behind the scenes, I be with a group of friends and we laugh. But what is the elephant in the room that needs to be addressed so we can have these conversations and work together and move forward as Black women? Because I'm in Texas. It doesn't really exist like that. We work at each other, but not together.
I think you're in Texas. I'm in Georgia. It exists here. Like I said, I'm isolated, and it's all Black. This is Black Hollywood. So, but the word that came to my mind when you asked that question is pride. And I don't necessarily think that pride is a bad thing, but I've been studying. I'm working on a personal project for me, and I've been studying Alice Dunbar Nelson.
Okay.
And then she was the wife of Paul Laurence Dunbar, but they were only married for 4 years, right? And someone told me, "Why are you studying her? Her life was insignificant."
How?
Because writing about her erases him.
Got it.
And it the things that happened in their relationship paint him as a bad person, but it happened. They both of them were the first generation of children born after slavery. And so their parents were really strict, like this, like go get the strap. Like that's how I grew up. Daddy was like, bend over, touch the ground, don't look at me, and don't cry.
Oh wow.
I understood, because my daddy is in the fraternity. So I understood it when I went to college, like what that meant. But I think it's pride. I think it's pride for our family. Like we don't want people to look at our family a certain way, or we don't want, because I don't, feel good, it reflects on my mom or my dad. Like I think it's pride. And I think also it's a sense of pride in like, I don't want you to look at me that way. Like I came on here wide open. You saw how nervous I was before we came. Like I was like, I don't even. You're not gonna give me any questions. Like, what are we talking? I don't know. And then we prayed, and it was just like, whatever God, whatever you want me to say is what I'm gonna say. But there's a pride there to come on camera and say like, I'd be looking at myself in the mirror like, girl, you ain't doing enough.
And you are doing a lot. You just don't see it. Oh, okay. I agree, Penda.
Yes, Mo needs to finish. You will finish. Do you know how we gonna celebrate for you? Like when you get done, I'm living vicariously through you because I don't think I'm gonna get my doctorate now at this point. Yeah, Dr. Grisby, when I was like a sophomore, he was like one of my favorite professors. I loved him. I wish I used to keep in touch with him like even after I graduated. And when he would see me in the hallway, he would say, Dr. Horton. I didn't even know nothing about getting my doctorate. Let alone going on to get my master's. But Dr. Grisby would say that to me all the time. And now it's like, I don't know if I can make it happen. Because financially, like, unless somebody pay for it, I don't want my loans are paid off. Like, I don't want to take out no more loans. So,
I'm still looking for that.
That's the answer to the question. Like, we need to, there's a sense of freedom that comes when you're honest. and you always like tread lightly when you're trying to hold on to something. You walk lightly and you're paying attention, and you can't, because you don't want to drop it. Like imagine like you carrying groceries and you don't want to drop it, but then what happens when the bag breaks?
Wow.
So why not just bring in a little bit at a time?
That's true. And I can't wait till you do this, till you finish this study, because I love, well, I mean, first off, if you were raised or lived in Dayton at any point in time, all our schools talked about was Paulins Dunbar. So
in the morning, Liza, like that was every speech contest it was. And I understand colorism differently now, like because I've been studying them, and it's interesting. Like sometimes I have conversations. I always talk about my daughter. She'd be like, "Why you always talking about me?" But sorry, Amaris, if you're watching. But sometimes we would have conversations, and she was like, "You don't understand because you're not dark skinned."
Oh wow!
And I'll be like, "I do understand because I'm black." She's like, "No, there's a difference in how she navigates through life and how I navigate through life." And I'm in the middle. Like I'm not mulatto. Like I'm not biracial, and then I'm not black. I'm just in the middle. So I'm black, but then you think I'm Indian. Like so it's just an interesting process. And as I've been studying them and studying their love story and understanding colorism, and he hated himself. Like there was a part in one of the letters that he wrote, like, I'm an ugly man. Like he said that. I'm an ugly man.
He did. And that's why I was like, oh, she's studying that. I love. I remember going to a play. This is to tell you how old it was. I think it was at Memorial Hall. It was like a monologue. Student was doing the life of Paulins Dunbar, and he said some of those things, and I was like, why? Like his poems, everybody know it. Everybody studies his diction, but then it's like back then, your friends were the Wright brothers, so you really wasn't getting credit for stuff you did. I mean, there's still a myth. I believe he actually did the airplane, but hey,
I learned that they were really from a racist family, but they allowed him to be a part of their life because he was smart, like he was different, and he thought like them, he talked like them. He was just a black man.
Exactly, and so that's why he's studying that. And as always, every time I do go to Dayton, I do go by the Dunbar House, even though sometimes it's not open. But it's a new mural. I'll tell you how long I haven't been there in a while. But it's a mural, and it has Paulins Dunbar and different things. Only thing I can honestly say that made me kind of sad is that the public library, remember how the Dayton Public Library was first actually Paulins Dunbar Library?
Yeah.
Historians know that. If you're not a Black history buff, you probably won't. And his poem was, I want to say, was in the entrance of the library. And I was like, well, why did they take it down? That's a big part of history right there, So yeah, I can't wait. I can't wait.
You were like, that's why I do the work that I do as a scribe coach, to get people to tell their stories. I think it's important for us to write down what we're going through, to make sure that we leave something behind for people after we are gone. And it became so important to me because when my mom was passing, I lived in Pittsburgh and my mom had breast cancer. So it was an aggressive form. So she kind of went really quickly. And they called and was like, we took mommy to the hospital. I stayed with her for a whole week. Now, probably at the end of that week, they call it the homecoming. And it's where she start calling for people. And she'd be like, oh, I want to see so-and-so. Can you call them? And people were coming from Detroit and Cleveland. Like people were coming from all over. And her two best friends from Bowling Green were like, your mom, we always thought she was going to be the next Maya Angelou. And I was like, what? And they were like, she used to write beautiful poetry, Pen. And I was like, she did? And they were like, yes. And I said, do you have any of those poems? And they're like, no, I wish I had them. I would give them to you. They said, we always knew that's where you got your talent from. Now, thinking about so my mom passed that next week. I was back in Pittsburgh, and I began to really just think about how my mom for years had wanted to write a book and wanted to tell her story. And either no one ever told her that she could, or she didn't know how to get started. And that's when I became really, I was already passionate about the work, but I became more passionate about it because, like, especially with COVID-19, people was just dropping out of here.
Yes.
One of my classmates, well, she was my big sister in WIP, LaJama. She passed recently, and I had started helping her to write her book. And I was so sad when she passed. Like, she lived in Detroit, so I couldn't, go celebrate her life at the funeral. But just the fact that I was able to go back into my emails and read what she wrote about Hamtramck Road and like all these things that she wrote. She went to Coney from Coney Island, and to be able to send that to one of our friends so she could send it to her daughter. Like, that is a gift that I was able to give her daughter, where she can remember her mom differently, pouring out her heart on paper.
Wow.
That's why I do what I do. It's just so important to me. And that's why I'm like, no, we're going to get ABCU futures. That's what kind of money do everybody donate $5 so Mo can like give out more scholarships, and she can do these bus trips, and more young people can get to know who they are and live in who God says that they're supposed to be.
Oh, I totally appreciate your plug for my organization. But I don't know if you even seen it this year. I'm not gonna cry, but this year we were able to award a scholarship in my sister's honor, and
I saw it. I was on.
I was like, we did it, and it was, and it was just totally like the scholar that received it. He's at Prairie View, loving life.
Ooh, Prairie View.
Yeah, he's loving life. I'm really still proud of him. I check in with his mom periodically, like, is he okay? Is he adjusting to campus? So things like that. But I love it that you're giving people a voice to say, a voice to speak and talk about what they have been through. And it's also helping you too, and even though you addressed it, I was like, what's the gap? What can we do to eliminate this? Because like you said, when we were coming up, the community was our biggest backing. Like,
do you know that you say I'm not gonna cry a lot?
I do, and I try not to, especially when it comes to that, because I used to could not speak about my sister without crying. Like, literally, at the mention of her name, I would be like bawling. And I guess to me it's because her and I, like I told you before, we did not see eye to eye. Even with your exemplar of colorism and your daughter, that's how we live. Like, Keisha was light, I was dark. She was petite, I was big bone. Like, complete opposites down the line. And I can kind of relate to your daughter because sometimes I experienced a lot of that. Amongst her friends, amongst her classmates, just different situations we were in, and it was just like, okay, well, they just be like, that's Keisha's sister.
But if we don't talk about it, we won't know. Like, until I started really digging into Alice's life and understanding what she went through as a woman, she wrote an article. It's called Brass Ankles Speak. And it's about how she grew up as a biracial child and how they used to yank her hair and dip it into the inkwell.
Oh, wow.
Like, just how we feel like, white people sometimes taunted us as kids or whatever. And in the civil rights movement, how they did for, our ancestors and things like that. That's what we did to them.
Wow.
I really believe that. I don't know if Willie Lynch was a real person or not, but I believe in the Willie Lynch letter. Like I believe somebody really did say this is how you keep them in line.
I believe that too. And when I taught social studies, I know you like goodness. I used to make my kids read that.
Mm-hmm.
And in a couple of weeks, I'm gonna have some of. They're grown now, so we can talk about everything we did in that classroom. But when I taught social science, you're gonna learn all history. We're not just gonna learn what's in these books. And Willie Lynch was like, I had to get parent permission, of course, because I'm always gonna cover myself.
Mm-hmm.
But we had a debate, a talk, everything about it, and the kids just was blown away. And I also had them do the brown eye, dark eye
Oh
project.
yeah.
I was just that teacher. Like, look, y'all gonna learn about this. If you don't learn nothing else, you're gonna learn to respect yourself and respect others. And we're not gonna play the light skin, dark skin game that they're trying to reinvent now. I don't know if you've been, I keep up with teams, and we got a team light skin and team dark skin. And I think that little boy, by the time I got finished with him, he was just like, "Yes, ma'am, I'm sorry." Like, we're not gonna do
I
that.
remember in Rice of Passage one time they had us do this activity where we had to line up from lightest to darkest, and I just remember how emotional everybody in the room was. And here I am in the middle, like
Yeah.
I don't really experience it. I experience it because I'm a Black woman and people know I'm a Black woman, but I didn't get the same kind of pain that some of my sisters experienced. And now having a child who's like, you don't understand me.
Oh.
So I try to make sure that she has people of all hues who can support her and walk her through every season.
And that's important because kids can be cruel. I mean, I know in my own childhood and as a counselor, when I talk to kids about different stuff, kids are cruel. I mean, I know for me, it was always Blackie and all that kind of stuff. But because I have a sense of humor, your defense mechanism, like, okay, you want to joke? We gonna go there. So, that was my thing. Look, I'm gonna have the whole class laughing while I talk about you. It's sad, it's like, wait a minute. They call me this, that stuff will really bother you, and then when I became a teacher, it wasn't no playing no Jones. We're not about to play in our house, in this classroom. We're not doing that. Joneses don't live here. We're not about to sit and talk about each other, but like I said, kids can be cruel. Like we have, even with dealing with parents that come to the school.
Yeah.
Parent didn't, and I taught in Detroit at that time. So parents would come up there in their unique form and fashion, and and the kids will talk like, you're not gonna talk about their mom. You want somebody to talk about your mom. So a lot of stuff like that, people don't address. And some of the teachers now, they so young, they laugh at it and think it's funny. I'm like, no, it's not. Especially if they don't look like you and I.
Oh yeah.
Funny to them. Oh, did you see her? She came up here. No, it's not funny. And they look at me like, you're not laughing. I'm not going to laugh.
I had to come out of teaching because when I was a teacher, I was really, really hard on the Black students in my class. I didn't realize it, but I was working at a residential high school in Colorado, and I would have like maybe 2 or 3, Black students in my class, and I would be like, do this paper again. And then one day I just had like a real life come to Jesus moment. You're doing that because you want them to show and prove that they are worthy to be here. Yes, but your delivery is wrong. And so those are some hard lessons to really confront. But when I did, I let up on them and I had to like apologize. Like, I'm sorry, this is why I'm doing that. My understanding is when you leave out of here, you have to be better than everybody. And I'm pushing you because I want you to be better than everybody. Just be yourself. I'm sorry. That's hard.
It is. I even remember being, and this parent probably is watching because she always watches. I taught in Mississippi at a school, and my militant self, because my upbringing. But I told the child, like, it was only 3 Black kids in the whole school, and I told him he was not going to be anybody's dancing monkey because he felt he needed to get their attention for them to like them. And no, that's what you're not gonna do. And I look back at it and I'm like, I probably shouldn't have used that choice of word, but
I had a monkey moment too.
so I get it. I mean, but you get so passionate about them not being that person to want to be accepted.
I got so mad, and I will never forget it. We were watching the movie Pride. It was at a community center that I worked at, and they were not paying attention. The mentors were like CEOs of companies, and the kids were not paying attention. And I stopped the movie and was like, "You will not act like monkeys while these people are here. Get it together." And some of the people were like, "Oh, that your choice of words was just so rough, and you didn't." I mean, they understood me, didn't they? And I understand it was the wrong choice of words, but I'd rather me be the one than them to go out and somebody call them a monkey. Somebody call my baby a monkey.
Oh Lord,
they still do that in America today.
Oh wow, how did you react? Oh God, I'm scared.
I was ready to. But she wouldn't let me. I have to let her. I have to trust that she can handle herself. That when we teach her how to respond, then she's gonna be fine. She ain't the one that's gonna punch somebody in the face because they, she just. I know that, as my dad used to say, you got to know the truth about yourself. So that's kind of how she is. Like, I know I ain't no monkey. That's
Wow.
She had, but I was on fire.
It's a different, like, it's a complete difference because I just I just came from up north and visit family and friends and all that. And then I come back down here, even today. Like I went somewhere today and I was holding the door for the lady and you ain't got to do it. Go on. I'm like, really? Like, lady, I'm trying to do you a favor. I could have just shut it. But, it's the manner. Like, what have we got to where we don't even respect each other? Like, what has come of this?
Well, you got to remember COVID, too. People are afraid of COVID.
I had on mask and gloves. I wasn't trying to give her nothing, and I didn't want what she was trying to give to me.
I don't know. I used to be so mad. Like you hold the elevator for somebody, you welcome. Like I would be so rude. I'm glad I've matured. Sometimes like if I'm walking, I still do it now. It's like something like gets so angry inside of me if I say hello to somebody and they don't speak to me. Good morning.
I used to do that.
I'm really trying to stop. I'm like, you just not gonna ignore me when I said good morning and I was all chipper and you just oh I'm sorry, good morning. Okay, yeah. I be courteous. Like, what's wrong?
I'm guilty of that. I am. Oh, I had a conversation with my mom this morning and I would love to know your opinion about this.
Okay.
What is it? Well, we were talking about youth in church. I was brought up in church all my life. And my parents are really involved in church because of their positions and things they do in the church. What have we got to where young people don't want to go anymore? Like how do you feel about that?
Can we say it's not just young people, it's old people too?
Okay, well, everybody.
I am in the age where it's like I need to see God differently. I've been to church like since little baby girl, and now I'm married to a pastor, so it's all about church all the time. But I want to see God at the gas station, and I want to see God move when I'm walking in the park. Like I want to know that God has not forgotten about me when I go to the grocery store and I'm able to bless somebody in front of me who doesn't have enough money to get their groceries. Like, I think that we're in a season now where it's no longer about the church. It's more about God. And it's more about relationship with God outside of the four walls. The time of going to church and sitting in the pew, praise the Lord, Pastor. People still do that, but I think we are in a generation now with social media. You can get a whole message in a 3-minute sermon, a 3-minute reel on Instagram.
That's true.
Nobody got time for 25 choir songs.
Oh God. I might incriminate myself if I tell what I do when I watch the virtual church. But hey, I get it.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I think. I especially during COVID, it really, I think, solidified for a lot of millennials and, even the younger Gen Z, like, this is not where it's at. And you can watch church in 30 minutes from home. Okay. I can watch 5 churches if I want to on Sunday. And sometimes I do. I watch our service and I go to like 3 other churches, and then I'm like, I get to experience other things and worship in different ways than the same traditional way that.
Yeah.
And I think that's what people want. Young people are looking, and I think it's always been like that. Aretha, I didn't see the movie, but they brought, she brought rock and roll into the church, and they was mad at her.
Mm-hmm.
Then Kirk Franklin brought George Clinton into the church, and they was mad at him. Anytime there's a fresh new way to introduce God, the older generation gets upset. It is.
To quit them traditions because I don't know. I was brought up Baptist in a very traditional Baptist church. I think I might. I think my teens is where I was like, look, y'all got to get drums because this church over here. I mean, it's like that, and I'm like, when we go back and they open up the churches to where people can go in those different situations, who's gonna be there?
I don't know.
He's like, and so I always think of that, and I watch, even some of the virtual services because I church hop like that virtually too. Once I finish one, I'm like, okay, I didn't get enough, Lord. I need something else. So I'll watch it, and it's like, where are the young people? What are y'all doing for the kids?
Oh, that's a good question that you see that. And I think that the other part of what you do with ABC Youth Futures is also that spiritual component. So who are the chaplains at the schools?
That's the thing.
If there's not a chaplain, is there a choir director who's over the gospel choir? And is he doing anything to make sure that they get fed spiritually? So think about that as you even are introducing young people to these schools, because of course we sleeping in on Sundays because we had partied on Saturday, or we got homework that we stayed up to do. But I think that the fact that you're thinking about it and looking at it is something important and something to really just pay attention to, because they're missing. But you're training young leaders, and some of them are pastors. And
wow.
as President Stafford always says, you have a voice of angels. So, just when you sing. So that's a good question.
Because I look and I'm very observant, and I take notes and I fact check stuff before I bring it to somebody's attention. But it's like, wait a minute, what are you going to do? I mean, you born the kids, they don't want to be here. Half of them are here because their parents making them. Mm-hmm. And, I told, my mom, oh my God, she used to have us at church. My mom and dad used to have us at church Sunday to Sunday. I used to be like, and so I can feel, I know what people are talking about. Don't get me wrong. I love my church. I love the people that I grew up around. I appreciate it. Even the ones that are no longer here. But it's like, okay, who's going to carry on this when you gone?
It's not, and that's the whole point of writing the vision and making it plain. Mm-hmm. We the way that we grew up and the fun that we had and the things that we were taught spiritually, like these young people don't have. They're thinking their life is so different than ours. We didn't have the internet like this and cell phone. I didn't get a cell phone until I was like 35. I don't know. maybe 30, not 35. But I didn't get a phone until I was grown. I had a pager, and you having a pager and you riding in the car like, oh, they're going to pay phone. I got to go call my mama back. Mm-hmm. They can't give me 911. Where you at? Yeah, they don't have that kind of fear. They don't have the urgency to run to the bathroom when the commercial come on. Like, it's not the same. Everything is so fast for them. And so we have to bring God to them, God doesn't change, but how we approach God has, like, if I keep going to him in the same drab way, like, am I going to really experience God the way I need? I'm sorry, I didn't mean it that way. Drab way.
Saying.
If I approach God in the same monotonous routine, I won't get the full experience of who God is.
That's true. And honestly, you probably about to laugh. I grew up in church all my life, but I really didn't meet God until my junior year at Wilberforce. And that, people's like, what's wrong with her? She don't want to hang out. I mean, like, and that's the thing too, that new Christians have to balance. Like, I totally cut off everything. I thought I couldn't do this, couldn't do that. I thought I had to do everything a certain way. And, that's something that need to be addressed too. As our kids are going off to college, they need to know who and whose they are.
Yeah. And I think also the other thing that I have a lot of, I don't want to say regrets, but I have a lot of things that I wish I had done differently when I was in school. Like Dr. Mora asked me if I wanted to go to England, and I was like, no, I can't leave my parents. And I just walked away, like, goofball. Wow. Like, why? As an adult, I'm like, you goofy. I just didn't allow myself to really stretch out like I needed to. And I think that's why I don't have a lot of connections from school, because I kept to myself, and I was like, doing whatever I was doing to be relevant, but I wasn't really finding me, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I didn't really start finding me in what is important to me and what I want to give to the world. A lot of people, when my senior thesis for Dr. Situ was about senioritis. And I did a whole survey about people not knowing what they want to do after they graduated. And my theory was disproved, because it was me and one other person who felt like that. Everybody else was like, I'm about to go to grad school. I got a job at IBM. I'm going to NCR. I'm moving back home. And I'm just like, I don't know what I want to do.
And that's normal. And it's funny you say that, because I met a scholar. I think he was the student that was from Atlanta that I did interviews with. And he was like, I'm a freshman. I don't know what I want to do. And I was like, dude, it's okay. I changed my major. I went in a music major and left as a psychology graduate, because music was boring. Like, the stuff they was doing, was stuff we did, because I went to performing arts.
Yeah.
I'm bored. Give me something that's going to challenge me. And, I think I asked for too much, because I had to do Dr. Situ paper too.
Ooh, I couldn't do what I wanted to do, because my dad was like, you ain't going to make no money as a writer. Girl, you better change your major. Changed my major and went into rehabilitation services. So I did meet Dr. Grisby. He was my favorite professor. He was like my angel. He was my angel on campus. Like, he kept me really thinking outside the box. But I didn't do what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a communications major and write. I wanted to be a journalist.
But you're doing it now.
Yeah, but I don't write for the New York Times. Like, I had a whole vision of, like, but I am doing it now. And I think giving myself that grace is when going back to your original question about success, giving myself the grace to say, but you are.
Exactly.
Stop it. Like, it may not look like you want it to look like, but you are. I have written so many letters for people getting into school to get their doctorate, and they all have them. And so it's like, I'm living vicariously through all of y'all, because I contributed to that process, and so just giving myself some grace, like, it's okay. It's okay.
And you are, like, I know you probably can't tell, but I struggle the same way you do, where I always feel like I don't deserve a seat at the table. And I was so nervous this summer at the Wilberforce thing. I was like, oh God, they want me to present. I'm going behind Tiffany. Tiffany is
Oh, yes.
she is world known. She
She
is
is world renowned.
they got little old me talking about this nonprofit, and I was so like scared. I was texting Crystal and she was praying behind the scenes. I was calling people. I was like, look, I'm not gonna do it. But I even think I told Miss Gwen Brown when I came up there for the HBCU Center, I was like, Miss Brown, I don't know. Like, what do I have to bring to the table?
And what happened is you made a powerful collaboration
yes,
because you did it. So everything that we think that we're supposed to be doing may not be what God wants us to do. And when we don't feel like we belong, he says, you're the one.
exactly. And it has, and that's why I'm telling you, you do deserve a seat at the table. You are doing amazing things. I don't know if you know how I select people that come on here. I usually pray about it and their face will come to me or their name or something that they've done.
Oh.
So most people are like, oh, she's just picking people because, I pray about it because I don't want somebody to come on here and turn off or not have the motivational way to help people who I deal with.
Yes.
And we're changing lives. So you have to be strategic and you have to be intentional. So it's not just, just to come on, promote your business. It's strategic and intentional.
Mm-mm.
So I was like, I'm going to get Penda on here. I'm going to get this person too because they are, their spirit is intact and they're going to come on here and they're going to represent well. Miss Brown.
What you say? Yes.
I love her. Miss Brown used to say that was one of my saving grace at Wilberforce because
Mine too. Just giving me hugs in the hallway. She didn't know what she was doing, but she was holding me up when I was struggling many, many times.
she took me on choir tours, choir trips, choir anything because I used to stay in trouble because of this.
So your mouth.
Mm-hmm.
You just gave me another topic for the Resilience Project. I think I'm going to do the declaration. I deserve a seat at the table.
Come through with it.
I'm gonna. It's gonna be mine. So I'm gonna do it.
See, and you do and have been doing. I don't want to say you do and done. You did and done some amazing things. Like for me to go back to that play, I was like, Mom, she wrote a play. Because even that, like I talk to people about guests that I have coming on, and they're like, I don't know her, but I knew my mom had a relationship with you. So I was like, well, she's gonna be on Sunday. My mom was like, that's wonderful. She has a wonderful spirit. She done won these awards. I was like, Mom, I said, she has helped me in so many ways. I gotta have her on here. But guess what I'm gonna do this week? Like,
what?
This week, because when I went home, I got to see a lot of things that I took for granted. So this week I am doing some excerpts and short videos on friends, like friends and family members that, I appreciate. And so I was looking at pictures. I was like, oh goodness, I don't even look the same. But we have to give people flowers while they're alive. Like life was too short. Hold grudges, anything. Like even within myself, I have been working on forgiveness. So, and that, when we were talking offline about relationships and family, I haven't seen my family, my cousins, in like 14 something years.
Wow.
And so my cousin invited me over to to his cookout. And I promise, I felt like I walked in there like Antoine Fisher. Everybody was running and hugging. I was like, oh my God. But those type of things is what our community had to get back to. Yes, we have COVID. Yes, we have members dying. But we need to get back to the gelling of loving for one another.
I think the thing that I miss too is like, it's something about the cookout with the music and the spades or the dominoes, like the Uno. It's in those moments where you really get to know people.
Yes.
And in those moments is where we have conversations. And in those moments is where, the stress that we carry comes out of us. And that was one of the questions you asked earlier. Like, how do we get rid of this? We have to get back to community. Mm-hmm. We are a communal people.
Right.
That's why, my language is my village and, my community, because even though I'm far away, that's what I miss is my village. So I'm always like on Facebook, what people doing? Oh, wonderful job, because it's important to me that you have somebody in your village that's not going to let you fail.
And that's how I felt. Oh my God. Like, that's how I felt from the moment my plane touched down. Because I was in Charlotte. I've seen a classmate that I haven't seen. And Terry Malone. I think he went to elementary school with me. And
Okay.
seeing him, it was like, he's at the airport and you masked up. So I was like, I don't know you. I know you know us. We are unique people. We feel like we don't know you. We gonna look at you weird and roll our eyes and be like, oh, go about your business. But we were sitting there laughing and joking about stuff that happened eons ago. And
Wow.
when I, went to the campus and even though they ma'am me to death, but the embrace and hug, oh my God, am I that old? Even when I went to the female dorm, ma'am, I said, oh my God, do I look that old? I don't even have gray hair. But to go to the museum and the lady embraces, it was like all these favorite spots and things that I did while I was there. And to be embraced and you see the community there and then you come back here and it's like,
It's coming. It's coming. I had one of my friends, she challenged me this week. She's been challenging me for probably like 2 years. And I never did it. But she said, you always say that your village is not with you. So why don't you find a village there? So she made me, while I was on the phone with her, find a group on Facebook called, I think, Black Girls Trek or something. It's some kind of walking thing. And I
cool.
put my information in the group and was like, I've been here for 6 years, but I don't really have a lot of connections outside the church. Like 9 people were like, girl, I live in your area. I'll meet you at the park. Let's walk.
Wow.
It's just reaching out and really saying, if you don't tell people what you need, they can't give it to you.
That's facts.
So you find you a group where you are in Fort Worth. I think you're in Fort Worth, right?
San Antonio.
San Antonio. Find you a San Antonio foodie group or something. A San Antonio Zumba or something. And San Antonio people working on their doctorate, something. And find you some friends in there. And I guarantee you're going to find somebody from Dayton. You're going to find somebody who went to Wilberforce. So, I know somebody went, like, just, it's going to happen. So I make that challenge to you to find your people.
Oh my God, Penny, I don't.
I know, that's the same thing I said. That's why it took me 5 years to do it. But
I'm on the struggle bus with that one. I'm just not like that person.
I'm like, I want friends, but I want them to come to me. Like, I want to meet them organically. But she's like, no, you're not in the place anymore. People don't know you exist. So you got to get out there and say, hey, I'm here.
Wow. You just gave
I'm here.
Gave me a challenge. I'm scared.
I know. We can do all things through Christ who gives us strength.
Lord, you hit me with the word.
We can do it. We can do it. Thank you for having me. This was just so awesome. Such a good conversation. I hope that people will watch all the way through because we had a great conversation.
Yes, we usually have. And let me just tell them for our replayers, again, this is Mrs. Penda L. James, scribe coach. We talked about several subjects. Don't just pass to the end, but trust me, you will really enjoy the conversation. Also, as we are leaving, because we down to our last 5 minutes, I know time goes fast when you're having fun. I have truly enjoyed this conversation myself. It wasn't one-sided. We was going back and forth. So yes, I have truly enjoyed it. Also, look her up on her page. What's your email address, Penda?
Scribe coach at inscribedinspiration.com.
Yes, and also look for the Resilience Project. That project, I'm just gonna be up front.
It's facebook.com/scribe coach.
Got it. And
you just look me up on YouTube And all my playlist is there. And if you want to be a guest, you can be a guest on my podcast too. Let's talk about some hard things, but let's help some leaders along the way too.
I think that's your niche. That's your purpose. You get people to talk about those hard topics. I'm like, oh God, don't ask me this. Don't ask me this question. Please don't. I mean, but you draw it out and it's purposeful and intentional.
Yeah.
And you keep doing what you do. I see amazing things. Amazing things. And anything you need from me, I got you. Like
all right, Dr. Robinson, what I need is for you to finish.
Yes, ma'am. I will finish. I'm telling you, we're gonna party like we came 1999. We old.
I know. Okay. That's my jam though. But yes.
So do you have any Ms. Brown, do you have any parting words that that you would like to tell? Ms. Brown said, describe coach and a great interviewer together. That's what I always say about the Woo Connection. Definitely.
Yes.
That's facts.
That's our facts. I think I would just say the question that you asked me about, how did I get to success? It was a good question and it was a hard question to answer because I don't necessarily consider myself successful in the traditional sense of the word. Like I'm not a millionaire and I don't have my doctorate. Like I don't have all these materialistic things that I determine as success, but I feel great about the life that I am blessed to live and to be able to serve people and to help them tell their stories, even working through my own insecurities and fears about being successful is successful. And I would just say it just takes having those hard looks in the mirror and really being honest with yourself about what you want. Like, are you doing what you want for you or is it for somebody else? And how do you feel when you're doing it?
Okay. Yeah. Wow. That was a lot to digest.
Yes, I'm done.
But thank you so much for coming on today. And I look forward to the Dunbar writing. I'm really excited about that. I can't wait to see that project. And the seat at the table. I can't wait to see that one too.
It's coming.
Because
I will send you what I'm working on as soon as I'm done with it.
Yes.
I'm gonna email it to you. That's accountability. So it's forcing me to send it.
And I will definitely hold you accountable. So this week, guys, this has been our Let's Talk About It with our wonderful guest, Mrs. Penda L. James. We have truly talked about a lot of things very important in our community. She gave me a challenge, so I guess I have to find me some friends, which that I'm kind of nervous about because I don't talk to everybody. I'm like, oh gosh, she got me talking to randoms. But okay, because she challenged me, I will, I'll do my best. My best. That's all I can say.
That's all you can do.
Cross my fingers, do my best. But truly has been an amazing day. We will see you on Wednesday for the HBCU house party. And we have something special this week. I can't wait. We are going to start doing our freestyle Fridays, kind of like an internet competition where they do talent. I'm not singing, but I let other people get on here and freestyle. So this has been our day. We will see you next time. Please like, share, comment. Even though we don't see it or you're not seeing it live, we still can read your comments. So please give Miss Penda some shout outs. Talk about something that we may have talked. You can spark a conversation within the comments. Just be respectful of what you decide to do. Thank you and have a wonderful week.